One low frequency absorber panel costs 3100 and one broadband absorber panel costs rupees 2850. That means the total would be... Hello, I am Rohit from Consonance Acoustics and I am going to tell you how much the acoustic treatment of an average sized bedroom studio should cost. Let's begin with a few assumptions. The first is that there is no bed in your bedroom. The idea is to work in a completely empty room that you may have as a spare. The second is that environmental noise is not that big an issue. If it is an issue for you, I recommend watching a video about the myth a DGU glass window could be. The link is in the description. The idea is to have a budget solution that most composers or sound engineers can afford as they are starting out and that they can work during quiet hours. The third is that you are using this room for your own work and not for recording other artists. To record other artists, you'd want two rooms. One for recording and one for mixing. The fourth and the most important one, this is a decent setup but not a high-end mixing room. It will get the job done till the time you can afford a switch to high-end acoustics and equipment. Having said that as a context, let's begin by taking a room with the size 10 feet by 12 feet. Here's how it would look in SketchUp. Let's have the door here, a standard one for now. Rooms like these usually have a window. We can put a standard one right here on the wall, adjacent to the one that has the door. Now let's look at the volume and the total surface area of this room, as we will need it to simulate the reverberation time. We should also note the area for the door and the glass, as these two influence the reverberation time to some extent. Remember, we are trying to come up with an answer for a basic setup. This means that we will not be considering diffusers. Designing and building accurate diffusers is an expensive task. The treatment should consider attacking some room modes and reducing the reverberation to a decent extent. With that in mind, let's proceed to this code I have here that will help us simulate the reverberation time according to the Sabine's formula. Has the matrix of the absorption coefficients of the usual materials present in spaces. We can very easily add more data to this matrix. Let's put the total surface area here. Then the volume of the space here. Then goes the area for the door and the window. Their absorption coefficients are in the matrix above. These are coefficients for some of these other materials that you can see here. Let's keep their area as 0 for now. Let's change the limits to maybe 3.5 and run it. Right, so here is the simulated Sabine's reverberation time. What does this mean?
It means that an empty room probably sounds like this. Now we want your room to be from sounding like this
to like this. This seems like an improvement, right? So let's come back to the code. Now when you are planning to work, you will have a table. Let's add the area of a typical table right here. We now want to add how much absorption we need. So the standard dimensions of the low frequency panel that we manufacture are 1.2 meters by 0.6 meters. The standard dimensions of the broadband absorber panel that we manufacture are 1 meter by 0.6 meters. Let's begin to iterate. Let's start by considering that we will need, say, 10 low frequency and 10 high frequency absorber panels. Let me run that. And here is the result. So you get this shape of the curve here. Notice that the difference between reverberation time for the lower and higher frequencies is lower than before. Having said that, the reverberation time seems to be around 0.6. To bring it down further, we need to take the numbers of the panels higher. For the sake of this video, I have already performed the iteration. We are going with 16 low frequency absorber panels and 17 broadband absorbers. Let's run it to see how the reverberation time will look. Much closer to 0.4 seconds and also much closer to each other frequency band wise. So 16 and 17 panels seems arbitrary. How will it fit inside the room? While iterating, I had also considered the placements beforehand. Let me show you. Now, we want to manage the low frequencies. I have a slightly different philosophy for that than what is prevalent on YouTube. Bass absorption should not only happen at the corners in a room. We should rather try to minimize the effect of the room modes at the listening position. Let's first work on the longest dimension. This here is the longest dimension. On the front side, we can have the bass absorbers placed this way, and on the back wall, we can have them placed this way. This should work on the mode in this direction. You must have seen YouTube videos that talk about placing absorbers at the first reflection point. They ask you to hold the mirrors and everything. That is not the first reflection point. The wall right behind your speakers is the first reflection point. You see, high frequencies coming out of the speakers are directional. Lows are not. The speaker acts similar to a point source and emits sound in all directions for low frequencies. Take a look at this comparison of polar plots of Kali LP6 and some generic monitors by the Reddit user ILKLESS. Link to this is in the description. Notice that for lower frequencies, there is not much loss in levels for all angles. I recommend that you absorb the lows getting reflected from behind the speakers first. These absorbers in the corners are doing exactly that. Another mode occurs between the ceiling and the floor. We can add bass absorbers to the ceiling this way and they will reduce that problem a little bit. And what remains for the side walls can be worked on in this way. As for the broadband absorbers, we can add them in these ways on the side and the back walls. I have added the broadband absorbers at a slight angle on the corner for the back wall and the ceiling. This could help a bit in tackling any oblique modes. What is done on the left wall is repeated on the right wall. Let me show it to you. Right, so the basic treatment is in place. It is time for the $1 million question. How many $1 million is it going to cost? We have 16 low frequency absorber panels and 17 broadband absorber panels. One low frequency absorber panel costs 3100 and one broadband absorber panel costs rupees 2850. That means the total would be 98,050 plus shipping and GST. You may have to pay some amount to a local carpenter to get the panels installed, which should not cost more than 10,000 to 15,000 in most cities, but your local rates may differ. What if your room isn't of the same size or some other quirks in your room need expert attention? You can always visit the link in the description to get free consultation that will help you get going. That's the end of the video. Please subscribe and share the video with others who can benefit from this. It also keeps us motivated to keep making these videos.